Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Hopeful Environmentalist. I am your host, live and in person. Also, there is an audio recording too, so the people who aren't listening on the audio, that's gonna be a little weird. But it's your host, Taylor Gannis. I'm super excited to be back and have another episode, but today's episode is a little different. It's just going to be me and you, no guest speakers. And there's a reason why I'm doing this, but it's not because I love Call Her Daddy and I'm like copying her style. Hint, hint, wink, wink, a little bit. But honestly, the couch is like the comfiest spot. And I also did this like 2 years ago too. But I never kept up with it. And there's a reason I never kept up with it. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about understanding like yourself in the climate space. I oftentimes feel like so many people don't take themselves serious. And I'm that type of person. Like I don't think the knowledge I have, and I compare myself to other people, and I don't think I'm good enough in that sense. And I want to talk about that because I feel like it's something that really holds us back, not even just in the climate space, but in life, but especially with the climate space. Like we're talking about how everybody is so important, and when some people feel left out or like their voice isn't as important, that's when we run into problems. And I just want to talk about it today. So welcome, enjoy the ride. This is gonna be fun. I'm kind of excited and kind of nervous for people to see me like this, like just chilling in my apartment. But yeah, let's try it out. Just wanted to plug in two things as well. So for those who are either new to the climate space or just are looking for a community to join, please join us on Geneva and Discord. You can find the link in my bio and Instagram, which is at hopeful_environmentalists. We talk about hopeful climate news. We rant about things that don't make us hopeful and how we can, get back to that hope and to a hopeful future. We make friends. We have places for events. We have places for opportunities and jobs and things like that. Reading more hopeful climate news, a chance to be featured on our Instagram and on our weekly series of the weekly hopeful climate news. So definitely come in and join those. We're really excited to have you there. I'm excited to make community and see you all and learn about you all, and make friends. I think that's, such a powerful thing in a movement, is to just have friends and make connections. Another thing is, please follow on or subscribe on YouTube. This is our new channel, and I'm super excited to start uploading videos so that you guys can see who I am and see the crazy facial expressions and hand gestures I make. I'm Italian, so hand gestures are always a thing. So yeah, I'm super excited for that. And you can also, if you do want to support the podcast, there's many ways to do it. We do have a Patreon, which is in the link in my Instagram bio. But if you don't have the means to donate like that in that type of way, another great help for you to support the podcast is sharing the podcast, telling people you know about the podcast, leaving a review, commenting, liking. All of these things are really great ways to support the Hopeful Environmentalist. So thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the episode. Okay, so now that you know a little bit about why I'm doing this episode, I think it's important to discuss like who I am a little bit, what I've done, and stuff like that. So I don't feel like I've introduced myself a lot on this podcast. So my name is Taylor. I got my master's in environmental science and policy with the focus on science, but I'm really like interested in the policy field now. And then I did my undergrad in environmental studies with a certificate in environmental conservation and a minor in sustainability. And even with those backgrounds, I still feel like I am not where I want to be in the environmental field. I just always feel behind. And I love my education. My education was great. I always feel behind. I always feel like I'm like comparing myself to people I see on LinkedIn and social media. And I think it's hard not to, even as someone who's like, I'm super confident in myself. I see these people with like PhDs or even people who went to like big name schools like Columbia and Harvard and all of these places. And I start to like really get down on myself. And the past place I just interned at, if you see go onto the Hopeful Environmentalist Instagram, you'll see where I interned, and I just always felt behind everyone I was there with. All the people, I was the only one in the intern class that like either didn't go to a huge state school or didn't go to like an Ivy League or just a really well-known school. And like I went to this small school, which I love. I loved my college experience. I loved my education. I loved my professors. I just didn't go to a huge name school. And it does every once in a while like eat at me, and I'm like, am I not as smart as those people? Why did they get to go to these schools and I didn't? And not even that, like not even the why part, but just like did I get the same education? Did I get a good education? And I know I did, but it does eat. I think it would eat at anybody. So it does eat at me a little bit sometimes. And I'm like, I get down on myself. I really do. I really get hard on myself. And I think that's so common in this space. And then I look at people who have these degrees and who have gone to these prestigious schools, and I compare myself, but I also think like, wow, like how did they get there? How did they do this and that? And then I look, and then I think about it, and it's like, wait, I got to the same internship program that they did, and I didn't have an Ivy League degree or this like huge name school backing me up. I had the support of my community, and because it felt like more of a community at my college. We were really small program. So I felt like I was in a community and I was able to grow. I was able to do so many internships, and the best part is I was able to do internships where the program, the like intern placement place didn't pay me, but my school would pay me. So I had like those types of programs, and like it wasn't easy to get them, but it was easier to get those types of things because it was such a smaller school and you had less competition, and it was also like you knew who the people were and who was funding you, so you were able to like create connections and relationships, and people wanted to see you succeed. So I was able to I interned at like 5 different places, and I got paid like good. I got a bunch of different like scholarships and fellowship opportunities that were funded, and I think I thrived at that, and it helped me grow. But I still get, even with all this stuff, I get into my head of like, I am not good enough, like still, no matter what, even like knowing that. And why, and this goes back to the podcast, this comes back to literally why I don't do solo episodes. It's because I don't feel like I am smart enough in every single topic. Like people will ask me, they'll be like, oh, well, how do you, like, what's climate financing? What is the carbon tax? And it's like, good question. I'm gonna be honest. I'm like, good question. Let me find a guest speaker that talks about that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I know that not everybody knows everything about every topic, but I think in this world of like everything's so connected, we feel like we should know everything. Like I feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know that. Like am I an environmentalist? Am I really like who I say I am? Do I really deserve the speaking engagements that I do and the podcast that I have? Like, do I deserve to be talking to these people? No. So let me get a guest speaker. And I know, again, like I know not everyone's gonna know everything, but I really do get hard on myself. And the funniest part is I get hard on myself, but I don't feel like that for other people. So I met so many people who don't have degrees and they're in this field, and I'm like, you are my inspiration. Like, you are intelligent, you just bring so much to this field. And I'm like, how do I bring that to this field? And I like try to reach all these opportunities that I can, and even with that, I don't feel good enough. And I think it comes back to the whole idea of accepting who you are and accepting what you bring to the environmental space. And as Dr. Ayanna Elizabeth Johnson has said and made that Venn diagram, it's like what you're good at, what you like, and one other one. And it's like all those 3 things. And it's like, I struggle with it. I struggle to even do something like that because I'm like so all over the place. It you can't tell by this fight. Oh, I'm not gonna curse in this. I'm gonna take that out. But if you can't tell by this podcast that I'm a little bit all over the place, and it's okay. Like, I am. And we all are a little bit, but like, I'm a lot of it. And I think that's what makes it quirky. But I think it's like finding like who you are. And like, I think the biggest one is what you enjoy. And I think most people would say, oh, no, like what you bring is like what you're good at is what you should do. And I personally think it's the other way around. I think it's what you enjoy is what you should do, because when you enjoy something, I know for me, when I enjoy something, I am like, you can't stop me. Like, I will do it. Like, I will be determined to do it. Like a podcast, everyone said, oh, you're going to give up on it. And it's like, I didn't give up on it. I have tapered on and off only because my life has been so busy and crazy these past few years. But don't, like, do something that makes you 100% happy, because then you will give your all to it, and in a way that's like not toxic, in a way that's like you're giving your all to something you thoroughly enjoy, and this makes you happy. And that's like the main part of life, is being happy. This is getting really philosophical, and I didn't want to go. I didn't want to be philosophical with it, but yeah, it's true. Like, do something that thoroughly you enjoy and makes you happy. I think that at that point, like, you can't ask for anything else. And I'm still finding that. I've found my past internship, it was one of the best experiences of my life, and I never thought I was going to love policy in that type of atmosphere as I did, and I loved it. I loved it so much. It was a great opportunity. I met such amazing people, and I was doing such amazing work that like I enjoyed, the amazing work that I enjoyed. So yeah, I think just finding yourself in what you enjoy is the most important thing that you can do. Don't be so caught up in a degree, and don't be so caught up in the logistics of everything. Because I've spoken to people who, like I said before, who don't have degrees, and I've spoken to people who have degrees, and this is gonna sound so bad, but sometimes like the people who have degrees, I'm like, please stop talking. But I've never felt like that for people who don't have a degree. For people who don't have a degree, I know this, like, I'm being so serious, like I'm being so honest right now. I have such great conversations with them because it's not academic. It's real. Like, the people who, they're just real people who care about something so much, either because they themselves are being impacted from it, or they're on the front lines of it, or they're just super passionate about it and they want to help people and the environment and wildlife. And even as someone who has 2 degrees now, I don't speak very academically, and that's because I've struggled in school a lot. And when I say like, I'm not going to get into my own struggles in school, but school was not my like strong suit. I was not that I'm not, like, I don't think I'm intelligent, and I don't think I don't deserve certain things, but I definitely am not an academic. And that's because I think, and I kind of pride myself on it. No, academics are great. It's just I'm not an academic. I'm really just, I wanted to be, and I kind of was like, oh, like I can do this, this, and that. But something is just about me, I just can't do it. And there's many reasons for something like that, like why I can't do it, but I never just vibed in that atmosphere, and I don't like the feeling of like I'm not better than someone, and that is academia sometimes, not all the time, but like I just felt like not using the right writing language. Professors and people always took points off, and like not presenting myself a certain way and being a certain way. It's just, there's not a lot of room, I think, for me. There's not a lot of room for me in that space, and that's fine, because I don't need to be in that space. I can be in a different space, and I think I bring more in different spaces. I was making sure my microphone was getting the audio. I am literally, what goes through my brain. Okay. I can't just focus on one thing for more than like 2 minutes. But yeah, I think like we all have a different space in where we want to be and where we see ourselves going. So don't be so caught up on yourself of being like stuck in a certain spot or getting to a certain spot, because there's so many ways to get to a spot. There are so many ways. You don't need to go to Harvard. You don't need to go to Columbia. You can go to those places. I'm not saying you can't go to those places. Those places are prestigious, great schools. From what I've heard, I don't know, I've never been, so it's also from what I've heard. So like those are great schools too, and I'm not saying don't be an academic. I'm not saying don't chase your dreams if being an academic is what you want, or going to school and doing these degrees is what you want. Do that if that's what you want. I'm saying it's not the path for everybody. It wasn't the path for me, and it's not the path for everybody. It's not the path for a lot of people, and that's fine, because there are so many other paths, right? There's like, you can be an academic and an advocate. You can be an advocate without being an academic. You can be an academic without being an advocate. I have problems with that, but it's like, be what you want to be in this field, and you will bring so much more. And I'm doing this episode today because I feel like, one, so many other people feel like this, and two, because I'm not going to do all solo episodes. I'm going to be bringing on guest speakers, but I think having more episodes where it's just me talking to you in a way that, you know, I understand the world around me, and I understand environmentalism and the hope that I bring, because I do think every single person in this field has a unique thing to bring to the field, and has a unique thing to bring to the movement. And we need to hold that. We need to sit with that and understand that we all bring something. Even if it's just a small little difference of a thing, we bring something unique. We bring something valuable, and without every single one of us bringing something, this movement wouldn't be what it is. This movement wouldn't have had 75,000 people in New York City marching, and I don't even know how many people from around the world were also marching that weekend. We're talking about New York City, but there was mass mobilizations and even small mobilizations happening literally everywhere. There were people from around the globe coming together for one thing, for an equitable future without fossil fuels. And it's like, we needed every one of us, right? If we all weren't there, if we all said, oh, my individual opinion or voice doesn't matter, then if everyone thought like that, then we wouldn't have had this. We would have had like 10 people. Like, that's great, but like, we had 75,000 people just in New York City on Sunday. Like, that's insane. That's crazy. That's amazing. And it's like, we need to sit with that. So each one of you matters. Have your own voice. And that is why I'm doing this podcast episode today solo with you. And I will continue to do every once in a while a solo episode. Because I really feel like, one, I want to get to know you all. I want you all to get to know me. And I think this is the best way, one of the best ways to do it. I want to also like go onto YouTube and do stuff on YouTube, because I feel like I want to break into new audiences and make sure that I am reaching the people and wanting to reach the people that not only need more hope in this space, but who want to hear from someone who doesn't always speak like an academic, or even like I'm a professional, but like, am I? But thank you so much for listening to this episode. I am super excited to try something new and do something new in this with this podcast. I feel like I'm always trying to try new things. Like, I just started the Discord and a Geneva. So I did both because people were saying that like they preferred one over the other. So I wanted to make sure that we aren't leaving anybody out because of a preferred platform. So we're doing both a Geneva and a Discord. I'm bad with technology, so you're going to learn with me. If you already know how to do it, I'm sorry. Like, I don't. So we're going to learn together, or you're going to learn with me. And I'm just excited for this journey. I'm excited to try new things and see what works, see what doesn't, see what the audience wants, see what the audience doesn't want. But yeah, this podcast. I made this podcast for people, not as something like for just myself. Like I honestly, I learn a lot from the guest speakers too, and I put on guest speakers that I enjoy, but I also try to put on guest speakers that I think will be helpful to everybody. So I really hope that you are learning something and you are finding this podcast useful, because that would really be sad for me if you don't. Yeah, so thank you for joining this episode. I'm excited to try this new thing with you all and learn and grow with you. So come back for another episode of The Hopeful Environmentalist in hopefully another week or two. So thank you for joining this episode and trying this new thing with me. And always remember to stay hopeful and create positive change. And if you're interested in supporting the podcast, we have a Patreon in the link in my Instagram bio. Also, we have the Discord, the Geneva, and it would mean the world to me if you could follow, share with friends, share on social media. Just do everything you can to uplift and support the podcast. Thank you so much, and see you all next week.